North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will visit China next week for the first time in 6 years. He will attend a military parade marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. This will be Kim's first meeting with a large group of foreign leaders since taking power in 2011. The parade will also host Russian President Vladimir Putin and other pro-Russia and pro-China leaders. Joining us now to discuss this and also a new bill signed to prevent foreign adversaries from owning land in Texas is Adam Savitt, Director of China Policy Initiative at America First Policy Institute. First of all, good afternoon to you, Adam. Good to see you, as always. So as I mentioned just now, both Kim Jong-un and President Vladimir Putin will be in China next week. That's for a military parade. In your view, what is the significance? How important is it?
It's very significant. As you noted, it is the first time that Kim will be meeting with a large group of international leaders on a huge stage here. I mean, China's putting a lot of investment into this 80th anniversary celebration of the defeat of the Japanese, which is a little bit questionable whether the CCP can claim that, since the nationalists were in power at the time in China. But putting that aside, the CCP will be showing off new weapon systems, including anti-drone systems, perhaps new ICBM long-range missiles at this parade. So it's a huge stage and a huge platform. And this will be the first time, actually, that Xi, Putin, and Kim will be together at a meeting as well. Most Western countries are boycotting this meeting due to mostly the Ukraine war is the sticking point. Very important thing to notice, South Korea. Of course, a few months ago, a new president, Lee, came to power, a left-of-center president, and has been doing some interesting flirtation, at least rhetorically, with China. And he was invited, and apparently he did consider going. Now, he won't be going, but a leader of the South Korean National Assembly will be going.
Okay, I think the natural question then to ask is, what is the relationship like? What does this invitation say about Xi Jinping's relationship with Kim Jong-un? China, Russia, and North Korea relations. How strong is that alliance?
Sure. Well, it's a very interesting dynamic there. You know, these are all dictatorships. They all are incredibly transactional with their needs in the moment. These four countries are always mentioned together: China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. Do they really? Does it really constitute an alliance or an axis? I would say no. And here's the interesting thing. China technically has a treaty alliance with North Korea, but they've always kept North Korea at a distance, for understandable reasons, because these dictators, all three of the dictators, and most recently the grandson, Kim Jong-un, are very unpredictable, very wild behavior, and are generally considered pariah states. Now, recently, since the Ukraine war, North Korea has had a much closer relationship with Russia because they've had meaningful exchanges that have helped both sides. North Korea has supplied millions of artillery rounds, tens of thousands of soldiers to aid in Ukraine. In the other direction, Russia is providing military technology, perhaps missile technology, shipbuilding, and this sort of thing. So that is a real relationship built on real dividends that both are reaping. So in a way, actually, China in recent months has felt left out of that equation.
Fascinating. I'll move on to the other topic. We'll leave that for now. Governor Greg Abbott recently signed several bills aimed at protecting Texans from foreign adversaries. Most notably is Senate Bill 17, which bans people and entities tied to China, Russia, Iran, North Korea from buying land. Do you feel, in your view, this was urgently needed?
I would call it urgently needed, but frankly, it's been urgently needed for years. Let's say going back a decade when China first started acquiring large amounts of U.S. land. But this particular bill has been around, or some form of it has been around, for 2 or 3 years. Texas only meets, their legislature only meets every 2 years. So back in 2023, a version of this bill was introduced. Important feature of this bill, it covers all land. So I know on this show we've discussed agricultural land and land near military bases, and many of the states have either one of those or a combination of both of those. But some states, and this one passed, have a provision for all real property. So not only just agricultural land or strategic land, all property. Because of that, in 2023, there was a lot of controversy around this, specifically regarding green card holders from these nations. And the Democrats in Texas successfully framed this as infringing on personal rights, to a mortgage, et cetera, for people who may actually be fleeing the regime of China or Russia. So this bill covers, or rather, green card holders are allowed to own land. And that was the important modification that allowed it to go through. But this is one of the toughest laws in the country because it covers all real property.
So, Adam, we talked about this before, but I think it's worth reiterating. Why are assets like farmland, for example, strategically important?
Sure. Well, it's the food supply chain. And here's the thing, people say that there's not that much land owned by China. And in the grand scheme, it's not much, although it is about 500,000 acres. But much of this is used for experimentation, seed growing, pesticide tests, and this sort of thing that has been proven to be a source of IP theft for Chinese nationals who are in the United States, stealing this seed technology. And that's the way it interferes with the food supply chain. And in addition, in proximity to military bases, these patches of land, whether they be 5 acres or 1,000 acres, they become platforms for surveillance and sabotage of military installations and intelligence installations. I used to have to speak in the abstract. In the last few months, we've had a very concrete example of what this is, and that is when Ukraine was able to place drones near Russian military bases, and they destroyed billions worth of dollars, irreplaceable strategic bombers in the Russian arsenal. If China was able to place drones on this agricultural land near our military bases, they could certainly pull off a similar feat.
Are there any signs to you, perhaps, that other states are likely to follow in Texas's lead?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, dozens of them have been trying for quite a while. But as I mentioned, yeah, most of them are specifically either a combo of ag land and strategic sites or one or the other. This may be the most significant one in that all real property was covered. So in that sense, it may be a pioneering case that other states will seek to either amend their laws that they already have in place or start a new law. But for example, in Arkansas, they've had the law in place since 2023. They have enforced it, and they have pushed a Chinese-owned company called Syngenta off of agricultural land. Now, could they amend that to make it all real property? Perhaps, but this has been going on for years. I'm happy to say it's been evolving and getting more sophisticated, and the fact that this Texas law went through is indeed a landmark.
So, in your view, Adam, should the U.S. stop foreign purchases of land completely, or should it prioritize which lands require stricter oversight and which require less?
Well, see, it's important. So because you said foreign land, now that would include all land, and I'm sorry, that would include all countries, and that's a different question. I've learned over time we got to be really precise with this because I've heard from some farmers they don't appreciate foreign ownership of land and the way that affects them as far as land prices and that sort of thing. But I would advocate the adversaries, whether that's an adversary list as defined by the federal government, such as the Commerce Department, or that is delineated in writing, as the Texas law is, those 4 countries, that I absolutely would advocate for those countries to be banned from all real property. But as far as other foreign countries, there are
Okay, Adam.
needed. Okay.
Sorry, finish your thought, please. Sorry.
Oh, that's it. Just that I wouldn't say a ban on all foreign countries, just the adversary countries.
Okay, just one last thing. Is there anything that you see that can be done more to prevent this from happening in the future, this purchases of land?
Yeah, I mean, I would advocate for a continued proliferation of these laws in the states. We have yet to find a federal solution, and that's going to be the real key to do this permanently. We luckily have a Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, in place at the federal level who takes this very seriously. She has a new National Farm Security Action Plan in place. I look forward to that being enforced.
Well, okay, Adam, always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Okay. Thank you, Don.
Vice